What is a knowledge base and why do I even need one? Think of a personal knowledge base as basically an external brain, a second brain. When you come across information in our daily lives as Salesforce professionals, we are, let's say, we're looking to create a validation rule or a formula, or we're trying to solve for a particular business use case. We're trying to figure out what are the best practices for importing this type of data in Salesforce. How do I implement some kind of automation that I want to introduce into my Salesforce environment? So we're doing research, we're talking to other people, we're looking on social media, we're coming across little nuggets of information or sometimes treasure chests of information that we want to be able to access to remember later on. You might be doing it while you're actively involved in solving that particular problem, or it might be something that where you're just scrolling across social media and you happen to see someone happens to post something that coincidentally appears on your feed, and you're thinking, oh, wow, that's Steve Mo just posted a really cool formula, and I might want or need to reference this in the future. What do? I'll tell you what most people do, myself included, by the way. Most people will simply save it as a favorite in their browser, or alternatively, will find a notes app. So if you're using an iPhone, for example, you could use Apple Notes. It's free. It comes out of the box. On the Android, I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure that there is some kind of note-taking app that you can use. By the way, when I mention Apple Notes, it's also available on the desktop. You could use a Google Doc. You could use OneNote or Evernote. It does not matter which tool you use, but most of us will choose one or several of these different places where we're going to save some of these resources that we come across. And then the question becomes, when we encounter a situation at work where we say, oh, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I came across some formula. I don't remember if it was Twitter or LinkedIn or a blog post where Steve Mo posted this really cool formula, and I want to be able to reference it. I need it now. Where do I find it? Good luck looking for it, because if you are sprinkling some of these things in various different places. Did I save it as a favorite in my browser, or did I save it as a Google Doc in a particular folder? Did I save it in Apple Notes, or did I email it to myself? We've all done that, and we all continue to do this on a regular basis. What I'm trying to point out is this is a common use case that all of us encounter, not only in our lives as Salesforce professionals, in our personal lives as well, where we come across different things. It might be on the web, it might not be on the web, it might just be someone told us the name of a course that we should take, an in-person classroom course, or a book that we should buy. It has nothing to do with any representation on the web, where we want to save that piece of information somewhere, where someone emailed us a PDF that we want to be able to reference. So all of these things in the perfect world are saved in one centralized place. And just imagine for a minute if you had some mechanism to actually categorize or tag those nuggets of information. So let's say when you come across a particular tweet by Steve Mo about a particular formula, not only are you saving it, but you're categorizing it. So you have the URL, or you're cutting and pasting the actual formula, or you're copying over the image of the screenshot or the actual PDF. So not only are you saving that thing, whatever it is, but you're also categorizing it, where you can decide, it's up to you, whatever types of categories you want to use. Maybe this is a formula. This relates to building formulas, or maybe this relates to best practices for importing data, or maybe this relates to managing volunteers for a nonprofit. So whatever categories it might be, you can associate those categories. You might even want to associate who is the author of this content, so that this way, when you are searching your database, you can also search for or sort by those formula related articles that were written by Steve Mo. In other words, you know what you're looking for, you just don't know the name of it, and you don't want to see any of the content from other people. You just want to see the content that you've saved, where you put in that Steve Mo was the author. So you can put categories like this, and this way you will be able to easily find and reference that information any other time that you want. Now you might be wondering, okay, that's a lot of effort because the way that I'm doing it now, it takes about 4 seconds. When it's on my mobile device, I always do the following. I always, let's say, email it to myself. And when I am at my desktop and it's on the browser, then I will always simply save it as a favorite in my browser. And that doesn't take a whole lot of effort. But it does take a whole lot of effort when you then need to look for that piece of information that you actually took the steps to try and save, but now you don't even know where to start to find it. So now that we know what a personal knowledge base is, why should you create a personal knowledge base? A consolidated, centralized home for all of these nuggets of information will help save you tremendous time and energy and eliminate a lot of frustration when you need to look for that information later on. And that will be helpful for you, let alone if you switch jobs. And keep in mind, I am not talking about saving in your personal knowledge base company related information. I'm not talking about your internal company's business processes or terminology. I'm talking about the things that are not confidential to your company, the things that you are coming across in your own personal research to help you do your job. So imagine if you could put an extra external hard drive attached to your brain by having that and being able to take it with you from project to project, by being able to take it with you to another company, by being able to take it with you. Let's imagine the world goes back to in-person Salesforce user group meetups, and you're in an in-person Salesforce user group meetup, and someone asks a question about that particular formula, and you know that you saved it in your centralized database that Steve Moe wrote this formula and it will solve this person's problem. You can easily find it. You can solve someone else's problem with a few clicks. You just do a quick search and you can easily find it, access it from anywhere, from any device, and help other people, not only help yourself. So that's my opinion on not only why you should create your own personal knowledge base, but also what happens to your personal knowledge base when you change jobs. So just like your personal Gmail account, when you change jobs, your personal Gmail account is yours. It has nothing to do with your company. It contains emails that you received and you sent while you happen to be employed at your previous place of employment, but the emails had nothing to do with your work stuff. It was non-work related. So in a similar way, your personal knowledge base is yours and it goes with you. In other words, it should not be tied to any system that your company provides. So let's say your company has something like Jira or Confluence. And by the way, those are amazing tools, or Trello, or Salesforce Knowledge, any other tool that they might have. In addition to saving some of this information there to share with your colleagues, I'm suggesting make believe none of those exist. You're saving it in something that you own, that you can take along with yourself when you change jobs. And that will help you land on your feet very quickly and look like a rock star very quickly because all of those nuggets that you've accumulated before are easily accessible to you at your new place of employment. Okay, so now let's talk about how you can create your own personal knowledge base to supercharge your career. Before I start sharing my screen, let's talk about the different tools that you can use. For many years, I was using Evernote and I loved Evernote. Evernote is incredibly powerful. It is very user friendly and it really is a great tool. I was using it for over 10 years exclusively for not only my personal life, but also business related stuff I was saving in Evernote. And it's fantastic. So I absolutely love Evernote. OneNote is there for those of you who are not familiar with Evernote. OneNote is very similar to Evernote, where you can put hyperlinks, you can put your own commentary, your own notes, you can put whatever information you want. You can put files in there as well. You can associate it with other people, etc. You can also share both of those tools. OneNote and Evernote lets you share any content that you have in those systems with external people if you want to do that. And like I mentioned earlier, you can also use Apple Notes. There are a lot of different tools that you can use. I will tell you that I personally have about a year ago, I uncovered Notion, and I totally fell in love with Notion. I was a little intimidated by it. And at the time, like I mentioned, I was just a longtime user and huge evangelist of Evernote. I was not looking to leave Evernote, but I did in the end because once I started to learn about Notion, once I started to understand what Notion can do and how flexible it was, especially coupled with my understanding of databases as a Salesforce professional and really learning how to work with databases, where Notion lets you create not one, but multiple databases and link them together, it just totally blew my mind. And what I'm going to show you is how you can create your own personal knowledge base using Notion. Again, you could use whatever other tool you like. You could just use Evernote or OneNote or Apple Notes. Just pick one tool and just go with it. Each of those tools lets you use hashtags and lets you categorize by folders or notebooks or binders. Like they all use slightly different terminology in order to cluster or categorize any entry, any content that you put into the system. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a little bit about Evernote, and we're going to create one from scratch. So I also encourage you, if you're interested, to either follow along with me live right now as I am about to create a knowledge base from scratch, or alternatively, bookmark this video so that you can go back to it so that when you do have the time, the ability to go ahead and create your own knowledge base in Notion, you can just go ahead and do that on your own. So without further ado, let's move into that segment. So what you're looking at over here is pricing, because I'm sure that a lot of you are wondering, okay, you're talking about Notion, how much is it going to cost? Like you said, it's free, but is it really free? Is it free until when, or for how much data? So what you can see over here is that Notion offers a free plan, and their free plan is actually quite generous. So how many pages or blocks can you have? Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. And you might be wondering, what is a block? I'm going to show you soon. So it's unlimited. How many members? It's just you. How many guests? So a guest is basically when you're giving people access, but they don't have edit access to your content. So you have 5 file uploads. So when we're talking about a file upload, we're actually talking about the equivalent of uploading a PDF. You never have to upload anything because you could always upload your content files into the equivalent of Google Drive or Box or Dropbox and simply put a link to that in Notion. So you don't actually need to use the attachments that much if you don't want to. And as you can see over here, all of the other options that they have. So when I say you can use Notion for free, it's quite generous. The free plan that they have is quite generous. I personally am not on the free plan. I have Notion for my team. So I'm on this plan, which is $8 per user per month. And as you can see over here, I'm at this tier. But again, everything that I'm talking about, you can use for as long as you need to for free with the free plan. If at some point you decide to upgrade, it is so inexpensive. And this is an incredibly powerful tool. So now let me show you how to go about building. I'll show you a little bit for those who are not familiar with Notion whatsoever. I'm going to show you how to go about navigating around Notion to understand the basics. And then I'm going to show you also, Notion has templates that you can get for free. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. And we're going to build a knowledge base. And then I'm going to show you, to bring it full circle, how when you're browsing the web and you come across a particular article, how you can then save it in your Notion database. So let's go over here, and what you're looking at is so the Notion account that I mentioned before that I use for $8 per user per month is actually a different workspace than the one I am showing you here. The one that I'm showing you here is a free account. The one that I was talking about before that I pay for, that's this one. You can see where I have 11 members on that team. So we're in this account, and what you can see over here, for the most part, you can ignore all of these. Basically, when I come across an interesting template, In Notion, I will duplicate it. I will save it to this account and I play around with it for a little bit. And then if I decide I actually want to use this for my business, for my team, I will then make a copy of it for the team and use it in the other workspace. So that's basically what you're seeing over here. So don't be overwhelmed or anything like that. So what we're going to do, and hopefully some of you are following along with me. So go into just go to do a Google search for Notion and create a free account. And then I'm just going to go here where it says add a page. And when I do this, I'm going to be presented with this screen. Now, I told you before that I'm going to explain what Notion means by blocks and pages. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. I'm just letting you know, like, I did not forget. I'm not trying to like jump ahead of myself. I want to show you and explain what's going on. So for now, I'm just going to call this test because we're just going to play around. I just want you to feel a little bit comfortable with what Notion is all about and how Notion works. So I'm going to go here and just call this test page. And you can see over here, it's slightly grayed out, but you can see that I have these options: empty with icon, empty. I can choose from templates. I can import. So if I have a CSV file that I want to import, I can certainly do that as well. And over here, you can see where it says database, and I can choose different kinds of databases. The truth is, all of these are really this. A database is a database, and what these really are the equivalent of, in Salesforce terminology, the equivalent of list views. So you can have a list view that's formatted like a table, one that's formatted like a board, similar to what most of us are used to as a Kanban view in Salesforce, or a Trello board, a list, which is not as robust as a table. It's more like just a list, like a list of names type of a user interface. And this is a calendar where things are simply displayed in a calendar format. And this one is gallery, where basically it'll have just the graphical representation if you associate any images with each record. And this one is a timeline. So you might be wondering, like, you're going a little bit too fast. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it really simple. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to say empty with icon. I'm going to click on that. And what Notion just did was it put an emoji, a random emoji over here on the top. Let's make believe that I'm going to use this for, I don't know, taking notes. So in other words, I'm in a meeting right now and I want to take notes for this meeting. So let's rename this test page notes from meeting with George Washington. And I'm going to also put the date. And why am I doing it like this? I'm doing it like this because, as many of us as Salesforce professionals, we work with users and we know how everyone wants to cram every little bit of information into the opportunity name or the case. Fine. Like, people tend to like to do that, especially before they realize that we can have a dedicated field for things like that. We can certainly have dedicated fields here to show who were the attendees of the meeting, what was the date of the meeting. But for now, just keeping it super simple. And this is the note that I'm creating, the equivalent of if I was in a Google Doc for now. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on this little emoji over here, and I could see that I could put whatever emoji I want. So I can search for any emoji. So if I want something that's maybe the color of blue, I can type in blue. If I want a notebook, I can type in notebook. So I can choose any one of these. I could also, by the way, you can see here that I can upload any, if I have a custom image, if I really care that much, I can go ahead and upload any custom image. I can also put a link to any image that exists on the web to put in over here. For now, keeping it simple, just notebook. Okay, fine. So now I'm going to go here and I see that I have an option for add, that where it says add cover. So when I click on that, it's going to put a randomly selected image over here, but I can choose change cover. And then I can scroll down and I have a bunch of essentially random options. If I have a particular image on my computer that I want to change the aesthetics in a certain way to match whatever the initiative is all about, whatever this page is going to be about, I can go ahead and do that. Or I can upload it from my computer. Again, if there's an image on the web, I can choose that, or I can go to Unsplash. If you're not familiar with Unsplash, basic free, royalty free, copyright free images, professional looking images. that you can use for any type of project. So let's say I want to have an image of a desk. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to type in desk, or I could choose office or anything else. And I have a bunch of options here. I can, if I don't like them, I can change it for anything else. Plant, scenery, landscape, mountains. I can choose whatever I want. For now, let's just keep it relatively simple. Again, I'm just going to choose that one and okay, fine, let's move on. So now all I did was I created a page. I selected an aesthetics for a banner and the icon for the emoji that represents it. And now I can start taking notes. So let's say during the meeting, I'm going to start taking notes. The sales team thinks it's super important to capture the following information in Salesforce. And now I'm going to start creating a bulleted list. So I just typed in a dash and I hit space, this, that, the other thing, this one too, oh, this one also, and some other stuff that they will follow up with us on. So you can take notes just like any other system. Very simplistic. However, you might notice when I click enter on my keyboard and I'm on a brand new line with nothing typed, I have this gray thing where it says type slash for commands. And when I type in slash, you're going to see that I have a menu over here that gives me a lot of different options of things that I can do. And when I look at that, I can see, for example, that let's go here and choose a checklist item or to-do item. So here, to-do list, and I'm going to follow up items needed. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could do things like that. I could also do the following. I could choose a toggle list, some great insights from the marketing team regarding the sales process. And by doing that, I now created this. Let's get rid of that extra. I did not mean to do that. So I now have this toggle that I created. And right now you might be wondering, like, what the heck is that all about? I can go here and let's say I create another list. I'm going to just type in some random text, not feeling very creative right now. So let's just put in some of this stuff. And when I do that, by having the toggle up here, it will allow me to easily hide or display whatever is contained within there. So that's the basics. Now, every single line item that we have here, whether it's a bulleted list or a checklist or a toggle or anything else, each line can be turned into its own block. Now, what is a block? What we're looking at over here as a whole, this is a page. The page contains blocks, and each block can contain more pages and more blocks. What do I mean by that? So let's go over here, and I'm going to go to a brand new line. Make sure I'm indented all the way out. And I'm going to hit the slash icon. And now I'm going to type in the word database. So you can see I start typing database and I have a bunch of options here. So let's choose table database. And let's create a database of things that need follow-up. And I just created a database in this page. And we have one column over here, one field, essentially, that says name. And this one says tag. So Notion did this automatically. I can create as many others as I need. So maybe I want to have one that's called status. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to call it status. And the type is going to be a select option. And I can go here and now I can create the options. And the options might be new, open, let's call it working, done, maybe on hold is another one. So I just created these options, which means I could go over here and we need to do this and tags. So tags can be anything. You can pre-specify what types of tags should be in here, but it could be anything at all. So maybe the tag will be gather biz requirements versus configuration versus review and UAT testing deployment. So I might have different tags that I want to associate with something. And basically, you might start wondering, this is starting to look like a multi-select pick list. And that would be true. And guess what? I am not cringing and steam is not coming out of my ears. Do you want to know why? Because in Notion, the equivalent of a multi-select pick list actually works really well. And it's pretty crazy. So let's just choose any one of these and let's choose over here a status. And you can see I can create a database entry and I can keep doing this over and over again. Guess what? I could take some of these things over here and I can just drag them down. And I just turned each one of those items. I moved it from here. I just turned each of those items from the bulleted list into records in my database. And now I can go ahead and I can associate whatever values I need over here. I can also do it in bulk. So if I want for the tags, let's call this to-do items. And for the status, let's go ahead and edit property, edit property status, and they're all new. And boom, I'm done. Now, to take it a step further, each one of these records that are in this brand new database that I created, I can click over here where it says open and watch what it does. It opens it in another page. So you can have an unlimited hierarchy of blocks and pages, and not only one, but multiple blocks and databases. And you can keep going on that, which makes this an incredibly powerful tool. So if I have notes on this particular action item, if I want to track the due date, I didn't create a field for due date, but I can certainly, I can even do that right over here. So let's go here and give it a date and, whoops, it's right over here. Due date. And let's go here and assign it to someone and we'll assigned to. So this automatically, because I'm in a workspace right now that only has one user, I can't really assign it to anyone else. But in my other workspace, I can actually assign things to different people. So I can only choose myself over here. But over here for the due date, I can go ahead and choose the due date. And by the way, when I go back over here, those new fields that I created are part of the database itself. So this is really powerful. Now let's go ahead, rewind, and I'm going to scan some of the comments and questions that might have came in. Hold on, seeing a black screen. Okay, Kendall, I'm not sure why you're seeing a black screen. You should not be seeing a black screen. I have the bugs. You'd be attempting to load no sound. I think it's for you guys on LinkedIn. For those of you who are watching on LinkedIn, hit refresh on your browser. That might be the issue. Or alternatively, I am also multi-streaming on YouTube. So you could go there where it looks like folks on YouTube should be are still able to see everything that I'm showing. So Mitch, to your comment, let's address this over here. This is all cool and all, but how do I turn this into a database? I'm going to show you. That's what we're going to do right now, a knowledge base database. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. So I wanted to show you some of the basics, some of the concepts of what we have going on over here in Notion and how we can use Notion. So now let's rewind this. Let's go over here and I'm going to click add a page. Oh, actually, before I do that, I wanted to show you in the Notion, Notion has a template gallery. By the way, you could also just Google Notion templates knowledge base. So not only are you going to find templates directly on this Notion website, but you're also going to find all types of blogs and like Etsy type merchandising websites where people will post their templates either for free or for some type of usually minimal fee. So I would totally encourage you to explore other templates that are out there. But honestly, for the type of use case that we are talking about now for creating a personal knowledge base and being a huge fan of keeping things super simple, I think you can create this within 5 minutes for free, and it's not a big deal. So let's go back over here and let's click on add a page. And now what we're going to do is we're going to call this my personal knowledge base. And by the way, I never know if it's one word or two. I'm just looking at some of the questions that you guys are putting. I hope to address them soon. Let me show you how to do a knowledge base first. And okay, according to the Apple operating system, knowledge base is 2 words. So let's go ahead and separate it. I learned something new today. So I'm going to call it my personal knowledge base. And let's go ahead. So that's the name of the page. Let's go ahead and add an icon. And Sure, I'll leave the one with the taxi, like, why not? It randomly came up. Let's go ahead and add a cover. So when I get this, I'm going to click change cover, and now I'm going to go to unsplash, and now I'm going to choose maybe books or a library. So let's type in books. And sure, that works. Good enough. I can always play around more, but that's not the important part. The important part is to create the knowledge base so that you can easily access it and you can easily put stuff in. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to hit the slash command and start typing the word database. And I can see that I have a whole bunch of options. I'm going to choose the table database inline. And when I do that, and now, by the way, I saw one of the questions. Okay, I'll address it now. Brandon asks this question: what's the difference between inline and a full page when adding a database? The difference is this. By hitting inline, I can go here. First of all, I have to name my database, so I'll call it KB for now. So this is my database. By having it inline, I can still put all types of text over here. And hold on, let me remove question from the screen. I can put all sorts of text over here. I can bulleted items, 1, 2, 3. So I can keep putting other things on there in addition to having the database occupy space on the screen. By choosing the full, I thought I hit full data, you know what? It might not even be available as an option to me anymore because I started typing. Okay, why is Notion not cooperating with me right now? Yeah, so the full page options basically, it shows you it's going to add a table database as a subpage. So it's going to basically occupy the entire screen, and you're not going to be able to have anything else on there, which might be totally fine. That might be exactly what you want. And you can always convert one to the other. That's one of the really cool things. So when you go over here, you can turn into a simple table, turn it into a page. You can move it around to different places. So you can do a lot of really cool stuff with this. So bear with me and let's get rid of some of this junk over here. And so we're creating our knowledge base, and we have over here a name. That's totally fine. Tags. So let's call this use cases and keywords to remind our future selves what the heck are we supposed to put in by tags. And let's put in the type of the format of the content. So this way we can sort by, here are the videos versus blog articles versus Salesforce help articles. So let's call this type, and this is going to be a single select option, and we can go ahead and configure the options over here. So let's do Salesforce help. Let's also include things like Trailblazer community, social media post, blog slash article, course, video, um, trying to think what other options, seminar. Let's leave that for now. That's good enough. And so let's add another property over here, basically another field of who was the author. Like it could be a company. So maybe it's a blog article that we came across by DocuSign, and we have no idea who the individual is who wrote it. And we might not even care. We just want to associate it to a particular, who was the creator, who was the author, as far as we are concerned. You could be as generic or as specific as you like. So I'm going to leave this as plain text. In theory, I could have this as a relational field, which is essentially a lookup to another database. So if I want to have it look up to people database or a company's database, I can certainly do that. For now, I'm not going to do that. By the way, this is what I do in my live knowledge base that I use for my business. But I'm going to go in over here, and for this column, I'll call it creator. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's all I really need. So now that we have this in place, you might be wondering, okay, how painful is it going to be to start taking content from the web and to start putting it in here? I don't want to have to go here each time and either hit open or hit new over here to create a new entry. Like that is really painful. You don't need to do that. There is a free Chrome plugin, and it is called, hold on, let's go over here and let's do a Salesforce formula best practices. Let's find any piece of content, and I'm going to show you from there. Let's go here, and I have this plugin in my Chrome, as you can see right over here, and it's called Save to Notion. Now, this plugin, I will be the first to say, it is not perfect. It is very cool. It is free. It will save you a lot of time, but it is not perfect. So you can ignore the entries that I have here because I'm going to make believe that none of these exist, and I'm going to create a brand new one for you guys to that's associated to this database that we just created. So let's make believe I am on this page over here and I want to save this page for the future. There's some nugget of information that's really important to me. Maybe it's even associated to a particular initiative, a particular project, a particular presentation that I'm working on for the Salesforce, for an upcoming Salesforce user group meetup, anything like that. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to choose. So you only need to do this once to create an entry over here to have a shortcut within Google Chrome. You just need to do this once for each what this plugin calls a form, which is essentially an entry into your Notion database. So you're going to create essentially a form of what data do you want to be able to capture from the web and just push it into that particular destination. So I'm going to go here where it says add new form, and you're going to see I have workspaces to choose from. And no, I do not want to send it into this workspace. I want to send it into this one, my free one. And where it shows add to, it's asking me to select the database. Now I named the database. If we go back over here, I named the page my personal knowledge base, but I named the database KB. So if I go back in here and I do a search, I should find KB is going to appear right there. So all I have to do is select that. Now it's also asking me, now during this video, I did not teach you about templates in Notion. This is another insanely cool feature. I absolutely love it. I live and breathe by this feature, but there is not enough time for me to teach you what this is all about. So if you do have a template, you can go ahead and select whatever template. I did not create a template for this use case that I'm teaching you right now, so I'm going to leave that alone. Clip page content. Hell yes, that's the whole reason why I want to use this plugin. That's the reason why I need this knowledge base in the first place. So now we can see over here, we have fields, and by default, it's only showing me the name. Oh, what I did not include, so silly me, I should have included in here. Oh, it's automatically showing up. Look at that. So wow, I didn't realize that before. I think it automatically created, as soon as I selected that database, I think it automatically created that property in this database of the URL to show where it came from. That was very cool. Because any other time I did this, first I created that field in the database for the URL, and then I simply mapped it. Okay, so now I need to select what other fields do I want to include. And you can see here when I expanded, it's showing me there are some other fields that it created as well. Any images that are on that particular piece of content that I'm looking to save, the icon. Now I can add other fields, and here I can select those custom fields that I created when I was in Notion. And you can also see over here, I can sort them however I like. So I can sequence them in whatever way I find important to me. Now, once I created that, and again, you only need to do this once, all I have to do is go on the bottom, click save and go back. Now I'm going as the user. Let's make believe it's the first time I landed on this particular page, and this is the page that I want to save into my knowledge base. I go ahead and I click on that entry, that form in the plugin. And when I do that, it automatically grabbed the title from the browser. It automatically grabbed the title to put in here. I might want to change it. So maybe I want to say formula best practices by Salesforce. And even though for the type, I'm going to choose Salesforce help, and watch this. Maybe over here, oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking in different places. So it's for use cases. Maybe over here, I want to include, let's say, formulas or formula best practices. So I can go here and I can start typing formulas, and I am now creating that as an entry in the options that are available, in the dropdown of options that are available to me in Notion. I am creating that directly in my browser. Who's the creator is Salesforce. And we can see that there are 3 other fields. I don't need to populate anything. This particular page does not have any icons or images. That's why nothing is here. Now all I have to do is go here and hit save. And if I want to see that page in Notion, I can click over here to open in Notion, or I can go back to that browser window that I have over there. Let's go ahead and open it in Notion. So one of the quirky things that I found out about this tool is this plugin is that it sometimes takes maybe 30 to 45 seconds for the content that I selected from that web page to appear in here. So you're going to see in a moment that it will in fact appear. I don't even need to hit refresh on the browser. It will appear, and it is annoying and it is a little disconcerting when you're like, I thought I saved it and then I moved off that browser window. Where the heck is it? I don't know what's going on. And here you can see it's still taking a while. So it is a little bit quirky, but I can tell you that it really does work. You know what, just for kicks, let's go ahead and refresh the browser and you can see it's still coming in. So while that's going, let's go ahead and take a look because when I'm a little over on time. I want to see any questions that you guys have to be able to answer them. You know what? Let's switch into the official Q&A segment, and I'll go back over here and show you when this actually does, the content actually does appear on this page. Okay, so let's see some of these questions that we've got over here. So Brandon wants to know, do they have dark mode on the desktop app? My answer is, I believe so. Mitch wants to know about, is that the official Notion extension? It is actually not. I was using the official Notion extension and it was a little disappointing, honestly. By the way, the content still did not appear on there and I don't know why. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other questions that you guys have. Lonnie, thank you. Okay, let's go back a little bit and see some of the other questions. Oh, nobody else had any other questions? Okay, so I see Tal was asking about Evernote versus Notion. So Evernote is a tool. Evernote is a fantastic tool. It is an incredibly powerful tool. I used it for many years and I totally loved it until I discovered the power of Notion. So I often describe to people that if you're familiar with Evernote, if you've used Evernote, Notion is like Evernote on steroids. Notion is far more powerful. And this is a good one. So someone is asking, how about Quip? I'm going to try to be as nice as I can. And I'll say that I don't think Quip comes anywhere close to, as much as there are some frustrations with Notion. I'm still learning it myself because I have not had the time to go like full-time deep into Notion, but I am using it extensively on a daily basis to track not only ongoing consulting projects and meetings and meeting notes and takeaways from meetings and collaborating with my team and content management related projects and all kinds of research that I and my team is doing for all sorts of stuff. None of it compares to, I am not familiar with Quip having the type of capability of handling those kinds of things. Notion is like really powerful in that regard. Howard, good to see you. What approach would you take to create tags, topics to organize this knowledge? So I think this is for everyone. I think this is going to evolve because I think initially, let's even take the topic of like formulas. So you could start off with just a tag called formulas, but then over time you start to realize, wait a minute, I'm using all sorts of different formulas and I have a lot of content about formulas. So you might want to start breaking it up to have it, let's say date related formulas, or account management related formulas. You might want to have things like that to start breaking it down to get more granular. And you could also have the flip side, by the way. So you might start off with, and we've all seen this as Salesforce professionals, where in any company, they have pick list values, and then we need to change the pick list values. Sometimes we're consolidating to making them more generic to encompass quite a few options into fewer options. And other times we're doing the exact opposite. We're taking like one option and breaking it up into a lot of smaller options. But I would say try to keep it simple. Try to not overcomplicate things for yourself or for your team. Notion really is a powerful tool, but it's not perfect. In the same way that we can create, or other people can create messes in Salesforce, ourselves included, we're not perfect. Similarly, I've created many messes in my own Notion and had to clean it up, constantly apologizing to my team for changing things up because I realized that the way that I set it up a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago was not ideal. Like I might have been following instructions that I found online and people are giving explanations of here's the best way to do blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for the way that we work, the way that we want to associate particular records. And honestly, I'm so appreciative for having found Notion and for using Notion. And I feel that I've barely scratched the surface in terms of really unleashing the type of power that Notion has. And I'm constantly learning myself. But at the same time, I still thought it was completely worthwhile to share what I've stumbled across, to share it with all of you, because I think just from a personal knowledge base perspective, and again, all I showed you today was how to create a database in Notion for free for yourself. So we're not even talking about sharing with other people. We're not talking about just the sharing permissions and edit permissions on certain records or certain databases. There's so much more that you could unpack over there, but keeping it super simple for yourself, selfishly, to manage your own career, to look like a rock star at work, to be able to handle the types of things, the types of projects that you might come across from time to time, while still leveraging the resources that you've come across and that you've saved for yourself with less friction, and getting access to it more easily and categorizing things more easily. I think you will benefit from it tremendously. And by the way, there's all sorts of features associated with the views and filtering and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Oh, there's some really fascinating questions that have come in. So Benny wants to know, can you integrate Feedly with Notion? Benny, this is actually a really good question because I use Feedly. I love Feedly. I've been using Feedly for a very long time. I have never explored using Feedly with Notion. However, you can. What you could do is, depending on what it is that you want to do. Oh, so if this, then that. If you have an account on if this, then that, you can connect. So Notion does have an API. You can connect Feedly with if this, then that. Alternatively, you could also connect the two tools through Zapier. So yes, you can absolutely do that. So we've got this question, this is an interesting one. How do you convert from Evernote to Notion? So according to the Notion documentation, it looks like it is incredibly simple and straightforward to migrate your content from Evernote to Notion. What I will tell you is my experience was horrific. It was very painful. And the out of the box documentation that Notion has on migrating from Evernote to Notion, maybe it works for people that have small Notion databases. I was using it intensively for 10 years. I had a tremendous amount of content in there. And basically, after doing a lot of research and pulling my hair out, I discovered that the only way to really do it was I had to download a legacy desktop version of Notion, which is of Evernote, which is not even supported anymore. So I had to find the links to download a legacy version of Evernote desktop. I had to download it. I had to log in and sync it to my database, which means downloading all of my 10 years worth of legacy Evernote notes onto the desktop. Then that desktop version had a feature to export into some format. I don't even remember what format it was, that was compatible with Notion. And even when doing that, it was limited by the number of records, like by some thousands of records. And I had hundreds of thousands of records in Evernote. So it was insanely painful for me. I will tell you that it took up quite a few days out of my life just to do all of that. Hopefully your content is not nearly as robust as mine was, so that it is easy and painless for you to migrate. Hopefully the out of the box option to migrate from Evernote to Notion will totally do the job for you. I hope so, for your sake. Is there any intelligence that Notion has to automatically suggest creating a note based on contents? Not that I'm aware of. So I don't think it has anything associated. Guys, I am curious. So I don't think, so no, not that I'm aware of, that Notion does not have any type of artificial intelligence to automatically associate any content that you have higher up on the page to anything else lower down. However, what you can do, and this is way above and beyond the scope of what I planned on talking about today, so I'm not going to get into it, and we are a little bit after the top of the hour. What you can do is you can have, I do this myself. So when I'm looking at any particular, even what I call a request, so we're talking about managing the consulting business, and I have a page in Notion that represents a request. So one meeting could result in multiple requests. Hey, could you import the spreadsheet? Hey, could you change the following page layouts? Hey, can you create a permission set to do blah, 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 whatever it might be. So each one is its own request. Each request might have things like knowledge base articles associated to this request based on maybe the tags. So you can have an inline database that has filtering on it that's automatically filtered based on other values that exist on that page. So it's not artificial intelligence. It's essentially hard, say hard coded, it's not actually coded, it's hard defined. Excuse me, I should say. So I'll have, for example, when I'm looking at a page for a client or for a project, I will have all of the related activities, all of the excuse me, related tasks, regardless of the status, automatically appearing on that page. So when I create a brand new template for a brand new client or a brand new project, I haven't yet even given the name of what that company is, but it will automatically be filtered lower down on that page to show all of the requests associated to that client or project, all of the meeting notes from that client or project, all of the tasks associated to that client or project, and it will all be dynamically filtered. So again, think of it going back to our knowledge in Salesforce. Think of it as when you're creating a brand new account in Salesforce, all of the related lists are automatically filtered to only show the contacts, opportunities, cases, etc., associated to that particular account. So you're building a similar database for yourself in Notion. Totally free, incredibly cool. You could totally geek out on this. With that, I do need to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining me today. And I hope you got value out of this. And if you have any ideas or suggestions for other content that you would like to see, hit me up. You know where to find me, or drop me a note below in the comments. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.